Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your family-friendly zombie hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC. And when there's just too much cool anime to watch, we've got you covered. Today I will start us off with Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead. A series that ponders the question, what is worse? A full-blown zombie apocalypse or your soul and body-crushing hellscape of a job? After that we will rejoin our favorite family of spies, the Forgers, to see what turbulent shenanigans they will encounter on a cruise ship. So grab your favorite rainbow-colored zombie-slaying weapon of choice, pick the most effective and hopefully least offensive disguise you can think of, and definitely don't pause the pod. We'll be right back.
I get the picture. They try to hit you. They try to kick you when you're down and out.
Graduating from a top university with an impressive extracurricular record in the rugby club, Akira Tendo has nailed every step of the way to securing his dream job. On top of that, a beautiful and kind coworker always brightens his day in the office. Life seems to be going very well for Akira until he slowly realizes that sleepless nights and brutal work are his new reality. After 3 years of mind-numbing labor in this exploitative company, Akira is unable to recognize the tired, unaccomplished person he has become. On track to losing all passion in life, like several of his overworked colleagues, Akira finds his saving grace in the most unexpected way possible, the breakout of a zombie apocalypse. With the free time he finally has, Akira decides to complete a bucket list of 100 things he wants to do before he eventually gets turned into a zombie. Although he is surrounded by the dead, Akira has never felt more alive. Thanks again to my Animalist rewrite for this summary. So yeah, Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead is based on a manga written by Haro Aso and illustrated by Kotaro Takada. It started in October 2019, currently counts 16 volumes and is still running. Aso also wrote and drew the manga Alice in Borderland, which I think has a live-action adaptation running on Netflix currently. At least that name sounds very familiar. I've seen that around. I haven't watched that, but yeah, like I said, the name rings a bell. The anime adaptation of Zom 100 was handled by Bug Films, which is a new studio and seems to be comprised of a lot of ex-OLM guys, Oriental Light and Magic, which these days are probably most well known for their Pokemon anime stuff. We'll get back to OLM in a bit. But yeah, Bug Films is pretty new, founded in 2021, I think, so they've mostly done second key animation up to this point in stuff like Mobile Suit Gundam, Witch from Mercury, Ancient Magus Bride Season 2, Undead Murder Farce, Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, currently Delicious in Dungeon, and they also did the animation production of the second OP and second ED of Summertime Rendering. But you can tell that there are some very capable people working on this, despite this being a new studio. Zom 100 is a great-looking show, in my opinion. Necessarily not top shelf all the way through, and there are reasons for that, sadly, and we'll get to that sooner than later. But yeah, this show has an incredibly vibrant color palette, which you wouldn't expect from a zombie show, but this is not your typical dreary Resident Evil or Walking Dead affair. Zombies, blood, and gore come in all colors of the rainbow in this show. Some scenes feel more like a pop art jam session or something than anything set in an apocalypse. Don't get me wrong, even though everything is toned down, quote-unquote, by having the blood be like these melted Skittles puddles and all the zombies look like Jackson Pollock paintings at some point, there's still plenty of gore to be had in this show. So if, you're faint of heart and can't really deal with that, just be aware. But generally, it's incredibly fun to look at, and it's also really well animated most of the time, especially the action scenes. For example, the 4th episode has a ridiculously cool evading an incoming gasoline truck moment, including the zombie driver of the truck still holding a sandwich, his zombie dog sitting in the passenger seat, and them colliding with a fireman that is spraying literal fire from his hose for some reason.
I don't think that's how it works.
No, it doesn't this show, John. It makes no sense, but it looks awesome. There's a chase fight scene with a zombie shark on legs, yes, in an aquarium in episode 5 that looks so goddamn good. So yeah, the show would be able to survive on its humor and good vibes alone, but it's nice to see that it has a lot of Sakuga to go with it. Speaking of humor and good vibes, this is a very funny show. I can't speak for how well the comedy aspect is handled in the manga, but in the anime, the dialogue is very snappy and energetic. All the characters have great banter and chemistry. The couple of slapstick moments that are in there are not so over the top that they seem silly. They're very well placed. The ridiculous situations that the characters are thrust into are commented on and reacted to in the appropriately outrageous way. The script is handled by none other than Hiroshi Seko, so I shouldn't have been surprised since the man is an adapted screenplay god in my book. And not only the comedy is great, there are also some genuinely good dramatic and emotional beats in the show that make the characters even more sympathetic and are handled with enough care and given enough gravitas so that they don't get sabotaged by all the nonsense that is otherwise going on in every goddamn episode. Just an all-around very tightly written and directed show with no real superfluous gram of fat on it. It was directed by Kazuki Kawagoe, who also directed Komi Can Communicate, which seems to be also a very heartfelt comedy-toned show. So this was probably right up his alley. At least in one way. The music is also great and was composed by Makoto Miyazaki, who also did the music for One Punch Man and for the second show we're going to review this episode, Spy Family. There you go. There's the connection. I knew I would find one. Unlikely, but there it is. So yeah, let's get to the, with the production notes out of the way, or mostly anyway, let's get to the characters and story. So as described in the summary, Akira Tendo, after getting his ostensible dream job, finds out that it's actually hell on earth because it's an exploitative company. Crunch, more unpaid overtime than he can count, like abusive superiors and all that bad shit. And it's just a bad time all around pretty quickly. The more we see Akira spiral into depression in the first episode, the more the presentation loses its color, which is like this very interesting device that you maybe just notice subconsciously at first, and then like, oh wait, the color just is completely gone from the show. It's first like in the beginning, it's this typical workplace comedy slice of life atmosphere, very colorful, very bright. Like it feels like there's, I don't know, some Wii era bloom on some of this stuff, but. You know, he's being welcomed at work, meeting a cute girl there, fun after-hour restaurant meetings with the colleagues. Then, once the nasty sides of this workplace start to pop up, like, for example, having to pull an all-nighter on his first day, actually having to stay in the office for 3 days and nights straight, unpaid overtime in the 3 digits, choleric department chief, low pay, peer pressure to not take time off, the huge. The color palette in the show slowly but surely becomes this very monochromatic gray hellscape. And it's not like Akira immediately throws in the towel. He at first really tries to be optimistic and motivated in spite of these torturous circumstances. But eventually the grind gets to him as well, of course. His apartment becomes a mess. His eyes become this swirly black tempests of depression. He shambles around like an actual classic slow zombie. The thought of jumping in front of a subway train starts to look way too enticing because it would mean he wouldn't have to go back to work the next day. So,
real mood, real.
Yes. So when Akira runs into his first zombie one fateful day, suddenly there are specks of bright colors again. And the moment where he realizes it's a zombie apocalypse, like from his movies, and he doesn't have to go to work anymore, it's like a Sakuga-fueled spiritual reawakening. Suddenly everything is full of light and hope again, full of color. My man runs away from the horde of zombies and literally breaks the black bars at the top and bottom of the screen that were characteristic for his flashback to his own personal horror movie work. So yeah, there's this really triumphant music that starts playing. It's a fantastic moment. He finally steps into like the free, colorful life he always desired, which is funny as hell because this should not be the reaction to a zombie apocalypse. But you're also really happy for him and want to cheer because he has escaped his hell on earth, which anyone who has ever worked a shitty, soul-crushing job can relate to. It's also nice that they make an effort to mention that Akira played rugby all throughout high school and college, which explains why he's such a good runner, which, it's not necessarily, but it's nice to know why he can outrun all the apparently ridiculously fast zombies. Not all of them, but some of them are really good runners. So it's like, oh, why can he? Oh, well, he and one of his friends that we later meet, Kencho, they were in the rugby team. And so they're fast. Fast boys. Fast as fuck boys.
There it is. There it is.
The kind of darkly funniest thing about the first episode, though, is that the depiction of the exploitative company, I believe in Japan they call them black companies, Akira is working for, contains a couple of Easter eggs that are not so subtle references to OLM, so the previous employer of the people who worked on this show.
Oh.
The company's logo in the show is basically the same as OLM's logo.
Oh, no.
And the office building is actually identical to OLM's office building.
Oh, no.
I linked 2 Twitter posts in the description so you can see for yourself. It's wild. But considering recent events and the state of work culture in Japan as a whole, I think there are sadly a lot of companies that potentially fit the described situation. So, if this would be the end of the story in regards to that would have been funny. Haha, oh man, they stuck it to the man and everything. Ironically, Zone 100 was actually facing production issues pretty much from the get-go. You can see that reflected in the OP, which for the first 3/4 of the show is pretty much only half finished and is half OP exclusive animation and half clip show. It evolves over time, like there are more and more unique animation scenes added to it. But it's only the complete version in the last 3 episodes because we got a big break between those and the batch that came before it. But also episodes started being delayed very soon from the start. I don't even know, maybe as early as episode 3 or 4. And like I said, the last 3 episodes had to be moved to the following season, which is why I'm reviewing this show now and not in fall, since it was technically a summer show, but didn't finish until December 2023. Hard to say what happened here, aside from the usual stuff, but it seems, since Bug Films is a very new studio, very small, I think they only have like 21 employees or something.
Wow.
So they maybe hadn't figured out their production pipeline yet, and I think there was more outsourcing on the director's previous project, on Komi Can Communicate, so he maybe wasn't able to adapt his ambition to the different situation. Either way, it's a bummer. And considering the subject matter of the whole show, and especially the first episode, it is, like I said, darkly ironic that this happened. I hope them not trying to cram the last 3 episodes in the season that they started in, like no matter the cost, and instead having to move them to the next season or deciding to move them to the next season meant less crunch, but I can't be sure. So yeah, that's like the big asterisk on this otherwise very, very cool show. It's like it starts out as this fuck you to a bad work environment, and then yeah, it turns out there were big production issues on this show. We've come full circle, people.
Sometimes it's like that, though.
Yeah, but yeah, getting away from depressingly funny stuff back to actual funny things. A lot of the humor in this show is derived from juxtaposing Akira's happy attitude towards this apocalypse scenario with the stereotypical and understandable desperate people he encounters sometimes, who definitely don't share his enthusiasm for this whole scenario. This happens on a regular basis, like with a next-door couple on the first day, for example, where he is just going for a beer run and slides down the water drain, and they are first very distraught when they notice him, then flabbergasted when he kindly offers them to bring some toilet paper from the store. It's like, yeah, he's a good guy, and he's like taking this with a stride or in stride. But why he has to go to the store? Like in the first day in this new life for him, after cleaning his apartment, which is the first thing he does because now he has time for that, and motivation. Akira just wants to plant his ass on the couch all day and chuck a couple of cold ones. Sound plan. I'm myself not a beer guy, but I wouldn't mind like just drinking, I don't know, some bottles of Coke or Pepsi just the entire day. If I was like, oh, I don't have to work tomorrow anymore, great. So, wouldn't mind that. However, he is out of beer, so he has to go for a beer run. Where he runs into a girl in the supermarket who saves his ass, and he also upgrades from his bike to a scooter and then to a motorcycle, which he keeps. They later get an RV to get around, because apparently this is the best vehicle in a zombie apocalypse, as seen in several movies, as stated by one of the characters. Later he starts his list, 100 things I want to do before becoming a zombie. At the beginning of the show, he only gets to like 33 things on this list, but it already contains such bangers like try out dreadlocks. But also essential stuff like spending time with my parents, meet the girl of my dreams, and so on. So it's not just ridiculous shit, but there's a lot of ridiculous shit, trust me. John, what would you put on your bucket list if there was a zombie apocalypse of things you always wanted to do?
Oh, God, you're putting me on the spot.
I know, I'm sorry. I just was thinking of it.
I don't even know, man. I feel like in my head, I would just be like, objective survive.
Yeah,
you know?
So just to go with one of the other characters, and we'll get to her. But yeah, I don't know what I would probably, I don't know. As long as we have like electricity, I would probably play as many games as I can. And
I mean, I've seen the movie Zombieland, so, got to remember at least the principles of cardio and double tap and all of that.
Yes, but there's still the approach of, mostly trying to stay alive and everything. And Akira,
like Bill Murray.
Yeah. Akira is focusing on how can I go carpe diem full force? Like, how can I make the most of every day, or at least the most in the sense of how can I enjoy my life in the way I wasn't able to until now. Mm-mm. Or not since school or college or whatever. So, yeah, he has a different approach to the whole thing. But later, other characters add to that list too. So it becomes the shared raison d'etre of our main group of characters, which is pretty cool. And Akira also wants to become like kind of a superhero who saves people from zombies, because that was his childhood dream, which is also on his bucket list. Like, remember his childhood dream. And he remembers at some point, and he was big into Japanese superheroes, tokusatsu stuff, and so he gets himself a shark suit and becomes Akiraiga, his made-up superhero persona from his youth.
Okay.
Which kind of works, because those suits are made to withstand shark bites, so they can't be easily pierced, but getting bitten still fucking hurts, so he's not going into every zombie fight, trying to beat the shit out of them. He has to learn, to pick his battles. But, he's a force to be reckoned with, and there's another character that is even stronger later. But yeah, next Akira saves his best bud Kensho from being cornered by zombies in a sex club in Shinjuku. There's like this nice emotional beat because they had a falling out before, because, Akira being depressed from work and Kensho pretending that he had like the best work in the world, but also secretly hating it as well, because he was like selling shit as gold to people and he hated lying to them, but he couldn't admit that he hated this. So they had a falling out because they didn't see eye to eye, and now there's this moment to get on the same level again. And this unlikely scenario gives them a chance to see eye to eye again, and the moment Kensho literally bears it all is a sight to behold. Good vibes again. Also shows that shitty jobs can ruin good friendships. And yeah, Kensho wants to be a stand-up comedian, and later also goes blonde because he thinks that is something to stand out, and that's what comedians should do. His brand of humor is nudity, so you can imagine what a lot of the humor on his side of things is derived from. But yeah, there's some bangers with that guy. He's a lot of fun. And the show also has more sexy stuff than I expected, at least in the first, or in some parts of the episodes. Like, Kensho immediately jumps into bed with the girl he meets in episode 4. It's pretty forward. There's some scenes in the beginning of the show. It's like, oh, I did not expect that. But yeah, then we have another important character, and that's the girl I mentioned before, Shizuka, She has a similar list compared to Akira's, but it's not 100 things I want to do before I get turned into a zombie, but 100 things to do to avoid becoming a zombie. Completely different attitude. She is still entirely in professional work mode. The second half of the second episode shows us like the day we just witnessed from Akira's point of view, where he does the beer run, but now from her perspective. And she's all about min-maxing, high priority tasks, only analyzing the zombies through movies and everything, and, you know, filming then through cameras or smartphone, and then looking at their behavioral patterns. Getting the best nutrition, only the most essential items, no sweets, no fun allowed. Of course, like you said, treadmill workout and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's her approach. So you can imagine when she runs into Akira, who has like the completely opposite attitude. She doesn't really know what to do with him and kind of like just wants to get rid of him in the beginning because he's like, you are too big of a risk. And I can't deal with you, and, grouping up with you and your friends seems like a bad idea and will get me in more trouble than if I was alone and everything. So that's the beginning. Like, she's a bit of an argumentative ice queen, and like I said, is completely at odds with Akira's philosophy in the beginning. But she eventually warms up to at least his bright and open nature. Also turns out Akira is a bit of an accidental smooth talker. Good for him. And wouldn't we all like to be that? And it helps to have someone in the group who has a knack for risk analysis, because Akira and Kensho are not necessarily focused on that. And there is a reason for Shizuka's attitude towards effectiveness and everything that plays into her backstory and character development, which is cool and very well done. There's a great moment where that comes to, becomes the focus, and there's a really great emotional beat that relates to that and to her relationship to Akira. So really good stuff. Like I said, there's some meat in this show to chew on, not only just, bare bones comedy stuff and everything and hijinks. Then the fourth character who joins the cast very late is Beatrix Ammerhauser.
Oh.
Yes. The final team member. She is a genuine German weeaboo who loves Japanese culture and thus learned to become an ass-kicking, zombie-slaying samurai / ninja? Sure, why not? She's a general Japanese culture and history nerd and often knows more about the locations the group travels to than the actual Japanese characters, which is hilarious.
Right.
Yes, and every time they come to a new location, she's like, "Oh, I heard about this and this and that, and this is here because of that." And then she starts talking normally, and then it becomes like her narration is fast forwarded like 8 times the speed or something. It gets faster and faster because she talks so much, and the others are not listening anymore, and it's really funny. But yeah, she's entertaining so far. There was not much character depth to her, but I assume that might be coming in future season and stuff like that. But she's very entertaining and fun. And yeah, also I feel called out because when we meet her, her mission is to deliver fish to a restaurant because she wants to eat genuine Japanese sushi for the first time. I'm in this picture and I don't like it. But yeah, the show, like I said, mostly comedy, but there are some sad moments too. I mentioned the stuff between Kensho and Akira, and there's the stuff with Shizuka and Akira later on. And in the third episode, when Akira becomes friends with a girl and she turns into a zombie, but not before she actually got to work in her fulfill her childhood dream by working as a flight attendant. So Akira gets another entry to the list, remember my childhood dream, which is why he then remembers, oh, right, I want to be a superhero. So good development and everything, and the sad moments don't feel ham-fisted or only in there for shock value or whatever, or to make you sad, but also, there's some value to it in regards to how it affects the main characters and how it advances them in this weird scenario. Also, that episode has a great visual gag where Akira literally loses face. I've shown this to you, John. It's amazing.
Yes.
But yeah, the show basically starts out in Tokyo, and we have a couple of episodes there where, we have characters starting to grow as a team. First, it's just, Akira, then he meets up with Kensho after reconnecting with him, and then eventually they run into Shizuka again and decide to get out of the city, first independently, but then they stumble upon each other again when trying to go to pick an RV to use to get out of the city. And they had the same idea at the same time. So, yeah, Akira, I think, wants to visit his parents in the countryside, and Kenshiro is just sticking along, and Shizuka also wants to get out of town. Don't even remember what her reason was, but probably because, there are no more people apparently in Tokyo anymore. So they just want to leave and go to a more secure place. Then this becomes a road movie, kinda, or road show, I guess. And it's also very entertaining. We get a lot more interesting vistas, and it also becomes a bit of this, like, hey, Japan is beautiful, even with zombies show. Where, like I said, where Beatrix also comes into place. Like, hey, have you heard about onsen towns, like Japanese hot spring towns and stuff like that? Have you heard about the beautiful countryside? Have you heard about this and that? So it becomes that a bit. But also it doesn't neglect going deeper into what it started with, like in terms of not just shitty work environments, but just shitty people in general, and how such an apocalypse would affect these dynamics. Like, people who are controlling, manipulative, and abusive assholes in their jobs will be like that in an apocalypse scenario too, probably worse. Mm-hmm. And the show doesn't beat around the bush when it comes to stating what it thinks about these kind of superiors who treat their quote-unquote subordinates like a mindless workforce, as food for their own self-validation. It's already pretty clear in the first episode, but the show definitely hammers it home in later episodes. And not only work superiors, it also jams its teeth into abusive parents who can do just as much damage, if not more, when they treat their kids like tools or consider them just an empty vessel for their legacy. Also, what becomes of people who were shunned or rejected by society if they are suddenly free of rules and regulations? You might not want to cross the path of some of these people. Some of them might even be a dark, twisted mirror of your innocent desires. So, that is interesting. And the show definitely does some stuff with that I didn't necessarily expect, considering the general comedic tone of the show. But yeah, it goes to some actually dark places, but on the character side of things, not necessarily just, dark zombie horror stuff. I mean, that's a familiar trope in zombie media. Like, people are the real monsters, you see? Actually,
we were the real monsters all along.
Actually, we are the Walking Dead. But Zom 100 definitely manages to convey those themes more effectively and entertainingly than Walking Dead ever did. Also in a much shorter time, and without endlessly regurgitating the same plot points over 11 tiresome seasons.
You mean you didn't like that?
No, not at all. I mean, depending on how long the manga run Zom 100 might get there, if we get more seasons after this one, that is. But even then, I doubt it will become as trite and repetitive as The Walking Dead became after season 1 or 2, honestly. God, that show sucked once Darabont got booted.
And it's still going.
Kinda.
Well, yeah.
It spun off into a million different other things, and there are movies. I'm not watching any of that shit. But yeah, when compared to that show, Zom 100 is also a lot less cynical, often downright idealistic in its optimism, which, especially for this genre, is not only refreshing, but also goes a long way to make it not turn into a depressing slog, considering the subject matter. Its core theme is all about carpe diem, living your life to the fullest and following your dream while you still can, even if everything around you is trying to take a bite out of your body and or soul. And I can definitely get on board with that sentiment. Also, help out your fellow man or woman, because karma is nothing to sneeze at. The show is definitely also putting an emphasis on that. The only thing that I didn't quite like at the end, but it's just, again, like this tiniest little gripe. Just like a lot of animated show glamorizes living in the Japanese countryside a bit too much in the last 3 episodes. 3 or 4, I think. I mean, I get it. The Japanese countryside is dying because nobody wants to live there anymore, aside from old people, so it's basically an advertisement vehicle in that regard. And I don't have anything against that per se, but so many shows do this, so it gets really old at this point. Please look at the wonderful community, all the nice people, and the tranquil life you could have instead of your torturous job in the big city. Like, it's a bit manipulative, especially in this kind of series. And after seeing it so many times in other shows, I think I just appreciate anime that switch it up a bit. Like, for example, Jujutsu Kaisen, that showed us the darker side of small towns with very conservative-minded communities in the boonies. Like, I think that was Nobara's backstory. But then again, that would not have fit the generally optimistic tone of this show. And it's only the very last section of the season, so it's fine. It's just, like I said, the tiniest gripe. But yeah, that's kind of it. You know, if this was a second season review, and there might be one down the road, I would go into more details and plot development, but I want you guys to experience that for yourself. It's a great show, immensely entertaining, heartfelt, incredibly funny, a real tight package. You can watch it on Crunchyroll, and depending on your location and a bunch of other services like Prime Video or Hulu, I hope we get a second season, and if so, with less or no production issues, please. So that not only Akira, but also the animators can live a happy life. I implore every one of you to at least watch the first episode of this, which is definitely one of the best first episodes in anime, period. Especially when it comes to setup and payoff. Akira's Freedom Run is worth the price of admission alone. So, in the spirit of the show, we could die today, or we could die in 60 years. Life is too short to avoid taking risks, so this is definitely a risk you should take. Embrace the dystopia and sing your personal Song of the Dead.
All right, so, zombie apocalypses are neat and cool and fun.
Are they, though?
I mean...
In Zone 100 they are. I mean, that's enough.
Depending on the context. Mm-hmm. But what about going on a cruise?
Boring as shit.
With spies and assassins.
Better.
That's Spy Family Season 2? 3? They couldn't decide... Okay.
We thought, the last thing we reviewed, we thought that was Season 2, but apparently it was Season 1, Part 2?
Yes, which that makes sense, but depending on where you look or who you ask, this is either Spy Family Season 2 or Season 3. I wish we could come to a consensus on this stupid core nonsense.
Yes. I mean, it's like on Anime News Network, I think it's just called TV3, like third TV outing. And since we already, I think, in our review index wrote Season 1 and Season 2, I'm just going to stick with that. Because I'm like, fuck it. But,
the problem is it makes sense both ways.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. I mean, it's the third TV thing of Spy Family.
It's the third core, no?
Yeah. Yes. So, what happens in this third core, John?
So, we kind of touched on the first episode when we brought it up in the sneak preview, where Yora's out doing her thing, and Lloyd takes her on a date, but she got shot in the rear end with an, as in with a bullet. Let's get your minds out of the gutter, all of you.
We did never learn if the bullet is stuck in there, if she had to pull it out, if it was like a clean shot through or something like that.
Yeah, that's...
She has a wound on her ass. That's all we know.
Best left ambiguous.
Yes.
She's not having a great time.
No.
So when Lloyd offers to take her out to dinner because he thinks she's in a bad mood, and she accidentally drinks some blowfish venom, which helps ease the pain.
Yes, because she has a resistance to poison. She has built that up over the years as an assassin. So
yeah, and everything's fine. Everything's great until the next morning when the pain comes back.
I mean, that just, like I said in the sneak peek, made me realize how many dates or date situations rely on you sitting down, like movie theater, restaurant, a nice boat trip on a lake or whatever, going to a nice place with a limousine. Everything Lloyd does is like, putting on clothes, going shopping. It's like, problem?
Yeah, kind of makes it a no-win situation no matter how you slice it. But of course, Yor can't say that to Lloyd.
Yes, because then the show is built on this flimsy premise that something like this would actually blow up their relationship instead of maybe them coming to an understanding and still working together. But she doesn't know that he's a spy. He doesn't know that she's an assassin. So they operate under ignorant certain circumstances.
Yeah.
Half knowledge.
False pretenses on both sides.
It's not an equal thing on both. Like, Yor is not world savvy, which also, she's an assassin. She should be, but she comes across in a lot of ways as very naive, right? Mm-hmm. She's very good at her basic job, but there's some other stuff where she's like oblivious. There's like, what? I mean, and that's the same for Lloyd. The problem is for Lloyd, I buy this less because as a guy who deals in information and has to pretend to be other people, I cannot, like, his entire existence in the show starts to stretch my suspense of disbelief.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Like, there are so many situations where it's like, how do you not understand what is going on here, my man? This is ridiculous. How does your 4-year-old or something daughter, even without her mind-reading powers, have more common sense than both of you? What is going on?
Oh my God. Lloyd is so smart, and yet he has no, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like he has no common sense, and yet.
It is so weird. It's like there's like this weird hole in his skill set that shouldn't be there, but is there. Like, again, I buy it more from Yor, and no, not because she's a woman. Shut the fuck up, everyone. No, because she has grown up kind of like still this very protected, aside from becoming an assassin. There probably was something with it, but she has like this weird go-getter attitude since the beginning. She has just taken care of her brother and everything. She was always a very caring person, and weirdly enough, an open-hearted person all the time. So it's just her persona. I buy it more because she feels like more that person. She is not this cold calculating thing. Like, maybe when it comes to her job, but also that she seems to be more acting on impulse, right? That's the vibe I get from her.
Yeah, they build her up to be a lot more honest.
Yes.
To a fault, kind of.
Yes, in a way, exactly. Lloyd is a strategist. He is like absolutely book smart, like he's I don't know what the highest IQ whatever in his team, but what he does in certain parts of the show does not.
I mean, yeah, but sometimes some people are like that, though.
Yes, I guess. Like he apparently this is like he's like a robot persona, right? Like he acts like a human being, but there's several key characteristics that he misses that. For whatever reason, because he grew up a war orphan or whatever, where it's like he hasn't experienced certain things, and that's why he's missing that information to work with it. Like when Yor is behaving a certain way, he can't properly interpret it, even though he should be, because he's good at reading. She should be good at reading faces, because that's part of his job. That's what I mean. Like, you also always get to a point in the show where you have to ignore that this guy is supposed to be the best spy of Westalis. The people reader. It's like, what?
I kind of feel like, though, as the story has gone on, the characters around him, in particular Bond, Yor, and Anya, kind of help humanize him more.
Absolutely. Yes. And I mean, it's the whole point, right? That's the whole thing where it's like, no, actually, he learns that some things might be more important than his job, might be more important than his mission. And the same goes for Yor, and both in the season. There's a part later in the show where Yor actually has to ponder that, where it's like, okay, what am I still doing this for, actually? Why am I still being an assassin? My brother is now a grown man. Well, an adult. Well, let's say he can survive on his own. Or he should be, even if he doesn't want to. But, she doesn't have to protect him anymore.
Right.
So that was the main reason why she became an assassin. That was the main reason why she got into, what is it called, her company, The Garden or whatever?
I think so. I don't remember.
Yes. So her weird, creepy boss, the caretaker or whatever he is called. But yeah, that's why she is doing that job. And now that, she realizes at a certain point in the show, like the character development bits in the show are always sprinkled in between all the shenanigans stuff, and it feels like there are no real arcs where it becomes super serious, and now there is this big character moment. There's some bits and pieces here sprinkled in between, and this is one of them this season, where it's like, she is actually thinking in a couple of moments, okay, do I still need to do this? Or can I maybe do what I actually want, which is stay with Lloyd and Anya, right? And actually make this a real family, because deep down, this is already what she wants. I think she's already getting there. Lloyd, maybe not yet. I think he's resisting this more than she is, because he is, robot mission man. But like you said, the more he spends time with his makeshift pretend family, the more he also gets pulled into that world, and you see more and more smiles creeping on his face. And that was one of the best aspects of the previous season, where we get introduced to Fiona, Agent Nightfall, who is also in this, sadly, not nearly as much as I wanted her to be. Like, this is
yeah, come on, man.
Yes, I was so happy when she was back, like in the penultimate episode. It's like, oh my god, Fiona's back finally, and then it's like only 10 minutes or something. Great 10 minutes, don't get me wrong, or 5 minutes only. It's fantastic, but I want her to be be a constant part of this show. Have her appear in every episode, like Frankie, for fuck's sake. I don't need Frankie in every episode, but I would like to have Fiona in every episode. So, yeah, that would be great. But so far that hasn't happened yet, but maybe it will. But yeah, that was part of it where she's like, she wasn't used to seeing this side of Lloyd. And when she actually sees him interact with his family for the first time, or if she sees it for the first time, she's like, what is this expression? This smile, that is not a fake smile. I only know his fake smiles. I only know his mask, and this looks like this is not a mask. This is like genuine happiness that he's experiencing right now. And that completely throws her off. There's like, Yor is able to give him that. Anya is able to give him that. I wanted the one to give him that. So, and I can't do that right now. So I feel like I've already lost him, or lost this battle against Yor. She's not giving up, of course, because she's, the person she is. But I was like, one of the pivotal moments that also speaks to what you said earlier is like, Lloyd is slowly becoming a different person, a better person. So this is cool. Again, this is not the thing I have an issue with. Like, I love the part where he slowly becomes a different person. It's just like the moment where, just from his profession side of things, he should be able to determine what is going on. And I'm not talking about his being understanding that his daughter can read minds. Nobody can guess that. That's science fiction bullshit. Like, how would you just assume that? So I'm not talking about that, but just very simple things when it comes to reading people. Because if you can't read people properly, you can't react to certain things properly, and you can't become such a as good of a spy as Lloyd is supposed to be. So that's the only thing I have trouble buying. But again, I know I'm approaching this whole show from way too much of a analytical, realistic standpoint, and I should just give up because most of the time these characters don't behave like real people. So why am I even trying? Like, I just accept it and let the nonsense wash over me. Because
from the way they try to frame the story, it's worth exploring that aspect of it. But like, yeah, this show's dumb.
yes, it's a very dumb show at times, but also very funny. Like, there are great jokes again in this season. And I mean, in the first couple of episodes are a lot of one-offs. I don't even know what we all have in there because they went by so fast. I mean, the big part is the cruise ship, but it's like only the middle part, or
it's still a large chunk of it.
It is 5 episodes or something. Is the cruise ship part?
5 or 6?
Yeah. So, and before that, we have a lot of. We have some Bond-focused episodes, which I appreciated a lot.
Oh, I love that first one where Bond is like, "Oh no, if Yor feeds me, I'm going to die." Oh no.
He has not built up a resistance like Yuri has to yours cooking.
Has Yuri though? Really?
I mean, he's not dying; he's just puking. He's the food isn't killing him, so that's something.
I guess.
But yeah, so and Yuri is of course already is again in this like our favorite Stasi boy and syscon. Like
what a combination of things to be.
Yeah. He has this weirdly serious plot beat there where he spies on a guy who sells anti-Ostania propaganda for newspapers, where it's like it's like kind of doing a nice thing for him, but also the show maybe trying to ignore the sinister aspect of this. And I live in the country this show is based on, right? Like East and West Germany, this is what the setting of this show is. There's no talking around this. This is obviously that. Like the town that they're working in is called Berlin. So yeah, we get it. So I guess I have more of a connection to this and the history behind the true history behind this. But
I guess it kind of, I don't know, it's hard to really justify like, oh yeah, but I guess it kind of makes a little bit of sense to show at least some of that sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. No, I like that it's in there. It's just like when compared to all the other weird stuff that is happening, I don't feel like the serious moments are sabotaged in this by, all the nonsense that is happening, just like I didn't feel like that in Zom 100. I feel like the show is doing a good job at letting the more serious moments simmer a bit when they're there and not immediately juxtaposing them with some slapstick bullshit. Most of the time anyway. So that's good. But it's a different thing to have serious character development that is fictional, but also in this case to have serious analogies to actual dark historical stuff that actually happened. And then having to deal with, even if it's not in the same scene, but in the same show, having to deal with all the other fun shenanigans that are happening around it. And again, like for a lot of people who don't know the history behind East and West Germany until, the Berlin Wall actually got torn down and stuff like that, that might not ring through at all, that might not be such an issue. It's just, for me, it's something I have in the back of my head. And so...
No, that's understandable.
So, but again, it's not something I'm like, oh my God, this is killing the show for me or anything. It's just like, it's... okay, don't...
It's weird to dance around.
I'm not going to think about that too hard. Unlike the stuff I'm thinking about too hard, which is why is Lloyd not able to understand that his wife has been shot in the butt. So...
Because you didn't ask.
Yeah. Why didn't you ask, John? Why?
I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, there are some other nice one-off bits. Like there's this... little bit with Damien, the son of the person that Lloyd is actually trying to get close to interrogate, because he seems to have plans for wars and everything. And Damien is a tool for that, for him anyway. That's the whole reason why he put Anya in the school that she is in, to get close to the son, and then, being maybe invited to a social event with the family and stuff like that. So that's the long game that Lloyd plays. So of course we get some bits with Damien as well and his goon squad, and he is so focused on studying to earn more stellas, which are kind of like these awards in the academy that make identify you as a good pupil and give you more chances to succeed after the school and whatever. And he does so much for that he neglects just being a kid, because he wants to live up to his father's expectations and everything. So his goons and a teacher go on a little field trip. And turns out Damien's goons actually are good friends and not just suck-ups, which I like, gives him some depth. And it's really nice going on a hike episode and, then turning up at a nice vista and at a lake under a starry sky and everything, and having a nice, soulful moment. Yeah, so that was really nice. I like that episode as well. And some weird other bits that I wrote down, like there's this weird mini TV show moment with Bond Man, who is quite the ladies' man.
Harem, and it doesn't work out.
Yeah. Or is he? Oh, yeah. We get the macarons of okay knowledge, or not. They don't seem to work. They don't make a genius out of you, but they taste good. But yeah, we learned that Anya has a very bad poker face and apparently speaks ancient language. This is one of the things I like about this show. There's like the smallest details that they throw sometimes in there where I feel like it seems like a setup for something. This seems like something that is coming back later, maybe.
That in particular definitely does.
Yeah. It was like, wait, why did they feel like they needed to mention that? That seems important. Has that something to do? Is that just something she picked up through her mind reading, or is there something related to her skills and why they were able to turn her into a mind reader and stuff like that? So very interesting. I like this kind of world building, this kind of character building where it's like, hey, did you pay attention? Just wait, maybe this will come back later. So yeah. I liked some of the one-offs episodes with the focus on Frankie, you know, where he has a mech suit and tries to catch a cat, a very smug-looking cat, and Yor also gets thrown into the mix. But yeah, it's fun, and yeah, like I said, we actually learn a bit more in this, which is interesting because this is the first time I think we do about Yor's work and what her whole setup is like. Until now, correct me if I'm wrong, John. We've only really seen Lloyd's like organization and some of the people there and how it's set up and what his mission setups is and everything and who gives him the jobs and shit like that. You know, the lady with the red hair, the big head or whatever. Forgot her name, his handler. But now we see that for Yor, and her boss is the shopkeeper, which I assume is maybe her surrogate dad person, kind of, because she seems to always be contracted by him, or at least that company. Like I said, I think it's called The Garden. And yeah, that was really interesting. Creepy guy. Wonder what is going on there. If they probably have a secret agenda, but right now we don't know what it is. It just this. What do they say? Want to make the world a better place or whatever, or more peaceful place. That kind of thing.
Murdering people.
Yeah. This is basically a setup for the big chunk of main plot in this season, but also not.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to relate to anything, really.
I feel like I might as well say this here. There's a lot that happens in this season, but it doesn't really feel like there's any overarching plot that really gets moved forward.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what was my big hold up with this season as well. I mean, the previous seasons also to an extent, but there was also something that was put in there that felt maybe in regards to the main plot a bit more substantial, the stuff with Fiona and everything as well. But it was like, yeah, okay, we get a bit more insight into Yor's world, but the actual main plot of, you know, Lloyd getting closer to his goal of talking to Damien's father doesn't move one fucking inch in this season. Like, not at all. Nothing happens. We learn nothing more about Anya's background. Like I said, we learn a bit about Yor, but not that much. We learn what her organization is, but that's it. You don't really learn more about her upbringing, aside from, you know, her how she took care of her brother and everything, but we knew that. We just get a bit more of that, where it's like, hey, when he was sick, she made him this herbal tea that, again, was so bad that it made him puke, and now he can't drink any other herbal tea if he is sick, otherwise it won't work on him or whatever. You know, stuff like that, which is neat, which is fine. It's okay. It's still character development, but it's like, I'm getting a bit impatient with the pacing of this show when it comes to the main plot, where it's like, I said this in the previous season, it's like, I really hope we're gonna get some move on the main story here. I like the side bits, I like the sitcom aspect of the show, but this can't be everything. And this season it was almost just that aside. We also had the cruise ship stuff, which we get to, which was, you know, nice action moment and everything. It was a bit more serious, but it also didn't relate necessarily to, like you said, anything of the main plot. It just extended the world a bit, and it gave us a couple of nice character moments for all main cast, especially Yor. You know, when it comes to her actually evaluating her current position in her job, if she still wants to do it, if she why she is scared to do it, what her baggage is, what her holdups are now that she has a family, kind of. And that is cool. But again, we still don't know how her particular job and story will intersect and probably interfere with what Lloyd is trying to do. And I am still sure this is going to happen. This is what the show is building towards. There's going to be a time where she is either tasked to kill Damien's father or someone that, Lloyd is relying on or whatever, or maybe even to kill Lloyd for some reason. And I'm pretty sure the show is going to build to that at some point. It's just doing it so very slowly. And this season, again, not at all. Nothing is moving forward in that plot. It's just, hey, cute character moment, a bit of, nice side story, filler action stuff, I guess. And then we are back to cute character moment, comedy. And it's like, guys, please move along, move it.
Yeah,
get a bit faster here.
I really honestly thought we would maybe start to see some of that this season. But
yeah, me too.
But I guess there's the movie coming up, which maybe that might be more than nothing this time around. But
I feel like the movies always are more side stories. Like if they actually do stuff that is in the manga, sure. But I feel like this is going to be another thing like the cruise ship, probably, right? So I feel like the last season, was it the previous or was it the first season, had more where we actually have an interaction between Lloyd and Damien, and who then actually talks to Damien's father and helps Damien have a good moment with his dad, I guess.
Yeah.
That felt like an integral moment because Lloyd had his first interaction with his target and made a somewhat positive impression. It's like, oh, this is the first step in getting into this, right? And we had nothing like that in this season. So I was like, this feels like an in-between thing where nothing really happened. And it's like, okay, please. I mean, maybe, again, this is part 1 of the second season, maybe. So maybe the second half, if this happens like in summer or in fall. I
don't think there's been any word of that, though.
So, that was really weird, somewhat worrying to me. I mean, worrying is the wrong word. Like, it's still a fun show. It's lighthearted fun. It's just sitcom stylings, but it's lacking a bit of substance right now, at least in the plot department. And, if you don't move the plot along, the most interesting or some of the most interesting aspects of the characters will tread water as well, because I think them properly advancing those characters also hinges on the plot moving forward. Because it will put them into situations that makes it necessary for them to evolve and to change their perspective on things, and being confronted with these situations and changing their views on the people they now learn to care about and everything. I hope this is where the show is going. I hope we're not going to stay in this fucking status quo for like another 2 or 3 seasons, because then I probably will jump ship. This is, I mean, I like the show, but the show promised so much more in the beginning. It's like, okay, this is where we're going. This is what we're going to do. When are we going there? Who knows? Not
when we get there.
Yes, and so far it seems the show doesn't seem to be in a hurry to get there, which is a bummer. But I don't want to harp on it too much. There are, like I said, fun things in this show. John, why don't you want to talk a bit about the probably most thrilling part, of the season, the cruise ship mini arc that we have?
Yeah. So, Yor is basically kind of taken aside by, I guess, her boss at her day job, who secretly happens to be part of the garden as well.
Yeah, Alfred. That's not his name, but he looks like Alfred from Batman, I guess.
It might as well be.
Or, I don't know, Commissioner Gordon. I would have a mix between the two. What is his actually name? They just call him Director, right?
I think Matthew McMahon.
Really?
Yes. I'm pretty sure that was his name.
Interesting. That is a supervillain name.
Don't worry about it.
But he's kind of cool. Like, he's kind of kick-ass.
Yeah, he's very cool also in demeanor as well. Like, he
very professional.
very even-headed.
Wish your isn't, especially in certain situations that she's not familiar with.
No. So what she's tasked with is basically an escort for this lady named Olka.
Yes.
And they are going on this cruise ship where they're going to have this rendezvous at one point. And, you know, it seems like a relatively cut and dried mission. You know,
yeah.
Okay, sure.
Olka wants to get away from the mafia family that she was part of via her husband who died, right?
Right, that was it.
And they're trying to move her to a different country where, you know, she can live in peace and stuff like that. But apparently her old organization doesn't want that, because the person who took over from her husband or whatever and is now the family lead wants to have her killed, I guess.
Yeah, because they're having dinner one night and Matthew realizes that the mission has been compromised. There are clearly assassins out to get them.
A bunch of them, yes.
So they kind of hole up in their room on the ship, and for a time it's safe, but things really start going south when it's like, oh, it's not just a couple of assassins. It's not 5, it's not 10. It's like hundreds of them are suddenly on this ship all at once.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, not only does Yor have to keep this lady safe, Anya and Lloyd are there too. So they're trying to... No, that's right. Anya wins a ticket to go onto the same cruise ship.
Yes. By accident. Like, does she manipulate the drawing? I don't remember properly, right? With mind-reading powers or whatever.
I think there were some shenanigans with it, yeah. But, and they get on to the same ship, and Anya wants to see Yor and wants to, you know, hang out with her mother. Okay, understandable, but, you know, Yor tells him, hey, you know, I have this job I need to do, but, you know, after that, that's fine. And when Yor is clearly out in plain view fighting one of the assassins, Anya has to find a way to distract Lloyd.
What is the name of that assassin, John? Sickle and Shane Barnaby.
Barnaby, yeah. I didn't remember the sickle and chain part, but yeah, Barnaby.
I love how Anya is just completely, when she hears that name, it's like, Sickle and Shane Barnaby, he must be so important. And she later tells her classmate about him also. They're like, who's that? Because it's just a random assassin. It's so funny. No
one knows who you are, bud.
Yeah, it's so funny. But yeah, that fight is really cool. And yeah, like you said, she has to keep Lloyd away from it, because she knows when he sees Yor fighting, the jig is up.
Yeah, so she distracts him by keeping him in a souvenir shop and saying, "Oh, I want this, and this." And he comes out of a dressing room looking absolutely ridiculous.
And also, let's not pretend that Anya wanted to go on this cruise ship to be with her mom. She wanted to go on the cruise ship to be on a fucking cruise ship. Like, that's
also true. But Yor is also there.
Yes, exactly. And it's a nice thing. And it's like she likes the idea of helping her mom with her mission, but she's also, you know, like, oh, will I get my mom in trouble? Like, there's this, before they get to the ship, there's like this inner conversation between Anya's inner devil and her inner angel. And the angel slowly loses, very quickly loses, because the devil is just stronger. It's like, I just want to go on the cruise. And you see like the dark cloud from the devil slowly taking over the right side of the screen where the angel is, because the devil's arguments are just too strong. It's like, the angel's like, we don't want to cause trouble for mom. And then the devil's like, but if we are there, we could help her with the mission, whatever. And it's like, all right. It's really fun. And yeah, I like that. I also liked, there was this neat little detail when we are at the pier before they board the ship. There's this neat little detail with the soundtrack where we have trumpets playing in the soundtrack, and suddenly there are, you know, because it's like this big luxurious cruise ship thing, there are trumpet players at the pier playing. So there's like, if the music comes first and then we see actually trumpet players there on the pier. That was a really neat thing that they did there. So I like
That's
that.
very nice and diegetic. Ooh.
Yes.
So we have some $5 words for once.
But yeah, that basically the rest of the of what happens is like Anya, you're trying to protect Olka and her brother, maybe also love interest. I don't know.
It's not clear.
It's not clear. Like, it feels like she saved that guy at some point when she was still young, and he since has been smitten with her, but hasn't, approached her because she was married and everything. But he still maybe has the hots for her, whatever. And he's not the bravest man out there, but he has a moment to shine, even though he's probably the one who kind of gets them into this shitty situation, fucks up the mission by talking to his parents, I think.
Yeah.
But not intentionally or whatever.
It's not out of malice.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, she is trying to protect them and is hunted by the assassins, and there are a couple of fights breaking out. Anya is trying to make sure that none of this is reaching Lloyd, but she also wants to help her mom, and she's multitasking. Lloyd, meanwhile, has to deal with bombs. That's one of the assassins, or the guy who does the communication, whatever, has set up, because he's this kind of weirdo, sicko, overkill freak that wants just to sink the whole goddamn boat or whatever. And there's a lot of different things happening at the same time. So it's a fun little arc. Like, there are a lot of moving pieces that are happening at the same time. Nice action beats, like the fight between Yor and Barnaby is especially cool, in my opinion. Liked that a lot. And there's one later where she fights an unnamed guy with a sword that is also pretty kick-ass. So I feel like the show, especially in this season up to this point, didn't have that much action. And the last season also, I think, didn't have that much action in it. But
I think it had a little bit here and there.
Yeah, a bit. But it
was much heavier here.
Yeah, there were a lot of action-heavy scenes. And because of all the lighthearted fun, you tend to forget how violent the show can get once the action finally kicks in. Like, there's this interrogation scene between Matthew and the assassin, which is gruesome from a sound design perspective. And Yor just nails that one guy to a wall with her... she is the Thorn princess. So
true.
Yeah, that's cool. And so, and interspliced with all that action, you also have some character beats. There's this moment where Lloyd goes shopping with Anya on the ship, and he still has trouble dealing with Anya's temper tantrums in a way that a real father would. And, he's worried that he will raise suspicion if he doesn't react the correct way, and he doesn't know what the correct way is because he is not a dad, really, or he hasn't been until now, and he's still learning. I mean, someone should explain to him that there's no clear guideline or science to that, really. I mean, there are books, and I assume he has read them. I hope so. Did you prepare for this job, Lloyd? Sometimes I think you have not.
I mean, there's a lot of assumptions to make about Lloyd, but,
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't and shouldn't buy your kid everything at once on a whim, but occasionally it's fine. Whatever. But again, here I am applying realism standards to Spy Family.
It's fine, don't worry.
Considering the whole setup
is the mantra.
Yeah, I mean, the whole setup is so ludicrous. So again, should maybe be a bit more accepting of that. But yeah, there's also this fun scene where Matthew literally cleans up after Yor when she fights the assassins, like he's going around with a broom or something, or the mob trying to get rid of the blood. Oh, that was great. And some of the assassins just get killed off screen after introducing themselves, which was also great. Just stating their names and then dead.
So thrown off the ship, slashed up, blown up.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And of course, all of this is brought to a happy end, quote unquote, right? Yor has a bit of a character breakthrough where it's just like, I won't be afraid. I believe even if it comes to the moment where Lloyd finds out, I think you will forgive me or whatever, or still like me. I don't know what her exact words are. But she's not too scared to fight anymore in that moment. And she was scared I think at the start of the fight against Barnaby, she noticed that she was moving too slow because she's worried getting hurt, which she wasn't before. But now she has people she wants to take care of. So she is scared that she will not be able to if she is hurt. And also, if then someone sees her wounds or Lloyd sees her wounds, and then maybe she will lose her family and everything. So these are legit fears she has now. And that's what she's dealing with in this mini arc. So again, like I said, there's good character development in this season, but not actual plot development.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not a complete stand-in for the plot moving forward, but it definitely helps, push the characters themselves along.
Yes. I mean, if we didn't have that at all, if it was just the comedic bits, just, hey, another life in this family and funny shenanigans, I would be like, that's not enough, guys. But since we sometimes have these great character moments, I'm like, okay, good. As long as this is in here, I'm still on board enough, I guess. If we get a season where not even that is in there anymore, which I hope doesn't happen, then we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. So we'll see. So far, this hasn't happened yet, and maybe it will get better and we'll get more plot in the coming season. One can only hope. But there's, after this cruise ship thing, we have a couple of nice moments. There's like the family enjoys nice vacation on this island, right? Which has just nice feel-good vibes and very good-looking, like Wit and Cloverworks just unleashing the full pristine color palette that they have at their disposal, and just everything looking so clean and good and well animated and everything. Like, of course, the action scenes are super well animated in this season as well. So, yeah, really good stuff. I like that. And then we have a couple of small little comedy stories after that cruise ship thing is over. Like I said, the stuff where Anya wants to brag about her trip to her classmates, but she forgot she's in a class with rich pampered dipshits, so they've all done something like this before and are not really surprised or amazed that she went on a cruise ship. In the third class, mind you, which was also a great reaction of Anya.
What do you mean, not first class?
Yeah, but also, when she actually realized she's in third class, where she's like, oh, we must have wandered into the wrong room. This is a prison cell.
God.
Because she thought she was being this luxurious suit or whatever. But yeah, that was great. And then we have a cute little episode with Becky, who is, of course, madly in love with Lloyd.
Oh my God, that girl, Jesus.
Yeah, she has like the biggest crush on her friend's dad. It can happen. And I feel like this could go into icky territory anytime, but the show is always just tactfully maneuvering around that by all telling it from entirely from Becky's perspective in a way. Where it's like, no, she's just this kid, and Lloyd is like this ostensibly world-savvy, very well-educated, very nice man, right? And everything. And does Becky still have a dad? I don't remember. Yes. Her dad is the chef of the boss of that big company, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but she's smitten with him and everything, and little girl wants to marry that guy and whatever. It's a childhood crush. It's
right.
Cute. It's all right. It's totally inoffensive. So, and it's very funny. There's this moment where Anya is trying to decipher Becky's mind gibberish, like where she's actually pronouncing the symbols appearing in this thought bubble on screen. That for me was peak comedy, where she's just like, exclamation mark, what, hashtag what? She can't read Becky anymore because Becky is just talking gibberish because of her crush. That was really good stuff. And it would also have been amazing if the hammer game that they play at the end of the episode was the thing that gave your secret identity away. Like that moment, Lloyd is looking at her like, what the fuck? Like, he gets this really small eyes. It's like, why are you so strong? And I'm like, see? Open your eyes, man. How do you not realize what is going on?
It's fine. Shut up.
He should have realized it when when Yor and Fiona had their weird tennis match and Yor crushed Fiona's racket with her smash. I don't know. So, but whatever. It's still a funny moment. And then Becky becomes Yor's apprentice when it comes to being a strong woman and being attractive for the man she is smitten with. Whatever. It's a cute episode. It's, again, like I said, totally inoffensive. And it's fun. So, yeah, another good comedy bit. And like I said, then we have a small thing with Fiona, which getting presents from her adored man. Everyone is fawning about Lloyd in this show, and I get it, kinda, but also, I guess obliviousness is super sexy.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that's enough. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And we get another, which was a highlight in my opinion. We get like this bonding episode between Bond and Lloyd.
This one was really good.
That was really cute. Really, really cute. Just, Bond is a good rescue dog. He's just a bit too overzealous sometimes. He wants to help everyone, and he sees visions of the future, and he tries to prevent bad shit that is happening, like a kid dropping its ice cream cone or whatever. And then he actually accidentally causes that, and when he tries to prevent a woman from getting hit by a bike, it looks like he's biting her and everything. I mean, he's a dog. How is he supposed to properly communicate that, right?
Right.
But, he actually managed to get through to Lloyd at some point when they have to go into a burning building and save a little puppy there and everything. And then actually finding the arsonist who caused that and everything. So that was a really nice, hey, a man and his dog moment. And like you said, it's one of those moments that actually also humanizes Lloyd and makes him seem like more of a real person. Because he is being a bit angry with Bond in the beginning because he's trying to train him and it doesn't probably work and everything. Because he's not necessarily an attack dog, but he's a smart dog in a way. And, he has a good nose and he has a special skill. He can see the fucking future. Of course, that Lloyd doesn't know that, but, he can make use of that in a way. So it's cool. And I hope we get more bonding moments between the two. Like, I hope Bond gets to be taken on a serious mission with Lloyd, be it accidental or intentional, and then gets his moment to shine and protect his owner and everything. So that's cool. Like, I liked that episode a lot. It seems you did too.
Yeah, it was for sure. Like, it was really, really good.
I also liked Bond suddenly being so skinny after getting wet. It looks very familiar. Like, we have bearded collies and they are these giant balls of floof, but if they walk through heavy rain or go swimming, they look like matchsticks. So that was like, oh yeah, I know this look.
We had a couple of Bernese mountain dogs, and they are large dogs, but they are also very hairy. So when they get wet too, it's the same thing.
Yeah. That fits the breed. Yeah. It's really fun. Why does his voice change though when he gets thinner?
It's a mystery, Charlie Brown.
That doesn't happen in real life. I can tell you that. My dogs still sounded the same when they went swimming. So whatever. But yeah, is there anything more we can say about this season, John? Yes, we can. Probably the best OP of this show so far, maybe?
Yeah.
Strong contender. Edie was also really great, but the OP, goddamn.
I haven't listened to a whole lot of Otto songs before, but this one hit really well. And then I started hearing some other ones. Like, I believe they did one for... what was that one for one of the One Piece movies? Backlight, I think. And that one's also a banger. So it's like, oh, okay. It's sort of like Yoasobi and they don't miss.
Yeah, that's cool. I really, really like this one. It's one of those that I always wanted to listen to from beginning to end every time I start a new episode. So, good shit. Yeah. Anything else that needs to be highlighted? Like I said, there's not enough plot we can go into, and I think we covered most of the interesting character bits. Is there anything that you would still like to mention?
I think we hit pretty much everything except for where you can watch it.
Yes. I assume Crunchyroll.
Yes, and Crunchyroll is the main place, and depending on where you live, it is also on any number of other services. It's like I said about the last show I was listing services about. You can find it. It's on everything, which is a testament to how popular it is and how good it is too. I firmly believe that.
It's despite on our misgivings about its somewhat glacial pacing when it comes to the main plot, it's still a very entertaining show and also very relaxing. I said this from the beginning, it's one of those shows where it's like, hey, if you need a turn your brain off kind of show that feels very light, but also not very dumb at times, but also not too dumb, like just the right amount that you just wanna relax and calm down after work. This is one of those shows that you can absolutely watch for that. It was kind of made for that. It's got this very relaxing sitcom atmosphere to it, and sometimes there's also good action in it. So yeah, for that it's definitely good. I just wish there was a bit more going on in the plot department. But hey, I'm sure we're going to get another season considering how successful this is. So maybe the next season will be more heavy on the plot side. So,
yeah, so there's obviously the movie coming up, and it's still not clear if it's a sequel or if it's its own story. Guess we'll find out. But then there's definitely sure to be more. So more plot developments, please, would be cool.
And that is a wrap on the 153rd episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in this podcast is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to virt.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. Our show is available on most of the popular podcast services, but it's always worth visiting animebrainfreeze.com for our review index and more. Leave us comments and questions on YouTube, follow us on Twitter at AnyBrainFreeze, or send an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. We would love to read your feedback. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next episode. Macht's gut.
So long, everybody.
Next time on Anime Brain Freeze.
Sometimes to become the hero, you have to be the ultimate villain. Or is it the other way around?
And a sinister plot unfolds at a magical college.